to never be the same again.
Rotting silence. The world didn't end with fire, or floods, or nuclear bombs. It ended with a cough. At first, no one paid attention. News anchors on the television laughed it off as just another flu. A week later, emergency rooms overflowed. 2 weeks in, cities began to burn. By the end of the first month, silence fell over most of the earth, a silence broken only by the dragging shuffle of the dead. This is the story of Alice Warren, a 32-year-old nurse from Manchester, who lived through those first months, and the nightmare that followed. Alice had been working a double shift when the first wave of patients came in, skin grey, eyes clouded, coughing blood into paper masks. She had seen people die before: strokes, car accidents, overdoses. But these deaths were different. One man had flatlined, his heart monitor screamed, his body limp. She was ready to call it when his hand twitched. Then he sat up. The doctors shouted, security rushed in, but he was stronger than any of them, thrashing, biting, tearing flesh with teeth that snapped like a dog's. Alice hid in the supply closet for nearly 6 hours, clutching a scalpel, as screams echoed down the halls. When she emerged, the ward was smeared with blood. The lights flickered, and the patients, they weren't patients anymore. Alice fled into the city, joining a wave of terrified survivors. The streets were chaos, cars abandoned mid-turn, alarms blaring, fires chewing through buildings. The infected were everywhere, their moans rising into a chorus that swallowed Manchester whole. She banded together with strangers: Paul, a bus driver who kept a rusted crowbar in his hands; Marcy, a teenage girl who had lost her parents in the crush; and Owen, an ex-soldier whose left arm was wrapped in bandages he refused to explain. They thought sticking together would keep them safe. They were wrong. After 2 weeks of scavenging and running, the group found an abandoned farmhouse on the edge of the moors. It looked safe, the doors locked, the cellar full of canned food. For the first time, Alice allowed herself to breathe. But on the third night, she woke to scratching sounds beneath the floorboards. At first, she thought it was rats. Then came the low, wet groan, the sound she would never forget from the hospital. Something was trapped in the cellar. Something hungry. When Paul went to check, they heard the door slam shut. His screams rattled through the wood. By the time Alice and Marcy broke it open, all that was left was blood spattering the walls, and the sound of chewing in the dark. Owen said they had to move. Staying was death, but the roads were worse. Whole motorways clogged with broken cars, families still buckled in, their flesh gnawed to bone. The dead moved in packs now, hunting in silence until they were close enough to surround. Alice noticed something strange: they were changing. Some moved faster, their eyes burning with something feral. Others climbed, scaling walls like insects. These weren't just corpses anymore. They were evolving. The farmhouse wasn't just unlucky. It was bait. The infected had driven them there, forcing them into a trap. They pushed toward London, hoping for rescue. The government broadcast still repeated every night: safe zones established. Report to the city. But London wasn't salvation. London was a grave. Tower Bridge, the once iconic landmark, collapsed into the Thames, the streets crawling with bodies. Smoke hung in the sky like a shroud. They found the safe zone: nothing but sandbags, burnt-out tanks, and gnawed skeletons. The last soldiers had died here. The broadcast was just a recording. Desperation broke them. Marcy grew feverish after a cut on her hand refused to heal. Alice suspected what it meant, but couldn't bring herself to say it aloud. One night, Owen pulled Alice aside. "She's infected," he whispered. "We leave her, or we all die." Alice argued, but when she woke the next morning, Marcy was gone. Owen claimed she had slipped away in the night, but Alice knew the truth. His bandaged arm, his secrecy, he was hiding something. That night, she watched him as he slept. His arm twitched, the bandages wreathed, and from beneath them, she heard the unmistakable sound of teeth grinding. Alice ran. She didn't even look back. The city was lost, her companions dead or worse. She found herself wandering alone through the husk of England, through desolate towns where nature had already started to reclaim the land, past motorways where the only sound was the flapping of crows. But the dead always followed. They never stopped. They didn't eat to survive, they ate because something inside them demanded it. Something spreading, something learning. On her last night, she climbed the ruins of a church and looked out across the countryside. Fires glowed in the distance, whole villages burning. And along the horizon, thousands upon thousands of them were moving, all in the same direction. Toward her. Alice picked up her scalpel, the same one she had carried since that first night in the hospital. She whispered a prayer, though she no longer believed anyone was listening. And when the church doors finally broke, and the rotting silence turned into screams, she did not run. If you enjoyed tonight's tale, remember to like, subscribe, and share it with someone who loves a good scare.